Hi, all. Uh, I hope everyone is doing well. And I'm Rukshan. And in today's call, we will be discussing on introduction to inbuilt workflow and novel features. This is an open forum, so all questions are welcome. You can ask questions either via the chat during the presentation or unmute at the end and have discussion with the APM team and the rest of the community. The recording of this session will be uploaded to our YouTube community channel, API Live. Let's check today's topics. Today we will discuss following topics and some of them introducing latest 3.0 version of API Manager. So first, we will check API design and testing before publish, and we will check API mediation sequence with Developer Studio. Then we will talk about managing scope. Then we talk about subscription upgrade. Then we will discuss about permission mapping in the admin portal. Then also we talk about simple approval workflow. So also addition to that, we will also cover graph view complexity analysis and also the approach to endpoint security. So later we will have open discussion session, so you can ask questions. Uh, so let's go to the first topic. The first topic is API design and testing before publish. Um, uh, uh, API developers design and create API from the publisher portal. So they can either import a API definition or create the API from scratch by defining resources. But test API and its API resources, they have to use uh, developer portal. But sometimes API developers may not have access to developer portal or uh, not allowed to subscribe. Also, we can use prototype APIs, but there are some issues with that because we have to publish it to the gateway, and if so, it will visible in the dev ports too. And there are some they don't have any securities. So sometimes developers want to test this API before advertising in the developer portal, and they don't want someone else to access it. So there is no proper way to verify this API skeleton. So as a solution, a test console is introduced to the publisher portal. So it works a bit similar to prototype APIs, but with extra protection. It supports some extra protection. Um, it supports test an API without advertising your API in the developer portal, and also it has some security. And also you can use it to test API skeleton, but there are some limitations. You can't test mediation sequence, and you can't test throttling and security. So we will move to a small demonstration to test this. Um, so I will go to the publisher. So I can create a new API using existing definition. So I selected definition, uh, and I will create API. So you can give endpoint to this API, and I will select multiple token policies and create it. Um, so if you go and check its resources, these are the resources, and I want to highlight that in the menu resource, there's a special uh, parameter, header parameter. Its name is XUID. So I have to add this as a course configuration, otherwise I can't access it. So I go to runtime configuration, and I define the enable the course configuration and edit as allow uh, let me check. Yeah, here, here we have allow headers. So I think it is not get copy, so it should be XUID. So I can edit and save it. So my API's implementation is done now. So I want to test this. So in order to test this, there's a new menu in the left side menu as test console. So you can go there. So before using testing an API, you have to initialize it. So what it do is it do some internal some modification to the APIs, and it will deploy to the gateway, but it will not advertise in the dev portal because we do some internal restriction to the APIs. So if you initialize that test, what will happen is it will list you all the available resources. So then you can select a resource and you can invoke it. So I will check the menu resource and I'm trying to access it. But you need to do UID, so it should be its API UID. I copy it and paste it here and try to execute it. So yeah, so you can successfully access it. So if you check its curl, the generated curl, you will notice that there is a new header curl test key. So this is to identify and authenticate to this API. So if you are trying or if you are testing this API with the curl command, you have to you have to take this key and you have to append into the test key header and access it. So without that, you can't access it. So that's how this API is protected. So this is how the test console is working. So we will move back to the presentation. Um, so next topic is implement mediation sequence with Developer Studio. So uh, uh, so there are multiple requirements to implement custom mediation because sometimes mediation sequence are required. So you can engage in the request response or forward flow to alter the message. So sometimes it is required to have a customization of default flows as well, like fault flow. So example like changing the default or failure response message or throttle out error message, you need that changes. So in such cases, we normally implement a mediation sequence using a text editor, and you refer to the existing docs. But there are few issues with that because it will not be easy to implement more complex mediation, and it is hard to validate them against the syntax. So most of these issues can be eliminated if we use Developer Studio. You can implement more complex mediation with Developer Studio easily actually, and validation also will happen automatically with every changes. And Developer Studio support multiple perspective as well. So with that, you can switch to different perspective and do different operation like PI manager, register operation, and ESP operation like implementing mediation. So using that, you can push your code directly to the registry as well. So you can then once it's deployed, you can directly access via the publisher. It supports the UI component. The mediators are like a UI component, so you can easily drag and drop those components to implement your mediation. Uh, it's also easy to discover supported mediators, and it is configuration because it's provide you the form to do the configuration. So this will be help you to easily implement uh, an advanced mediation even for developers who doesn't have much experience in Synapse. So we will go for a small demonstration. So so I have opened developer tool, which is Eclipse based developer tools. Uh, you can download it from the WSO download page. So as you can see, there's a small icon here. So with that, you can log into the existing API manager. So if you click on it, it will ask you the URL and credentials. So you can give the it is URL, and if it is deployment, you can give uh, publisher's URL. So we can use the publisher. So if you click on it, if you sign in, it will show you all the available registry resources. Also note that sometimes by default it will show you only the path in the custom sequence, but it may be you need to check more path in the registry. So you for that you can go to the Eclipse and its preferences. Then in the developer under developer studio configuration in the API manager under the API configuration, you can set the default sequence location here. So if your sequence path is different, so you can change it here and then login it. So then you load you the custom path. So also as you know, we support multiple mediation sequences. One is API level mediation and other one is global mediation. So global mediation, what will happen is you directly put it into the sequence location to deploy. For a per API sequence also, you can implement it, then you can upload here the UI, then it will automatically deploy in the sequence directory. But there are two ways in to attach a media sequence to API. It supports two methods. One is you can directly upload it to the API, and that sequence will be available to that API only. But you can also upload mediation sequence. If so, those sequence will be available to all the APIs. So how we do this is based on actually the registry path you upload. So if you upload it to the shared location, you can every page can access that sequence. So custom this directory, the custom sequence directly, if you expand it in flow, you will see the common mediation sequence there. So these are the shared done. And if you click on the application data and provider and go to the specific API we created, and if you upload it into here, then it will available to this API only. So media sequence should be inside the in directory of the API. So as you can see, is now it is not here yet. It's here. So we have to create it. So for that, what we can do is we can change the perspective into registry, and then do the required changes. I change the perspective, so it will again ask me my credentials, and I can go to the exact path and create the directory. So it should be new registry collection, and call it as in, and I can create it. So the directory is created already in there, so I can move back to my API perspective. So yeah, it is not updating here, so I will try to relog in it. So it will refresh. Yeah, it's here. So what you can do is then you can right click on it and create a new sequence. So I will give it a name as let's say log UUID API. So once it's created, it will open you the first with the tools. So in here you can see the mediators are available here, so you can create that. So as example, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do a header in the request payload. So if you remember the previous example I have done, I create the API, and we have a UUID, XUUID header in that request. So I'm trying to log that header in the request path. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to add this log mediator to the sequence. So if you click on here under the properties, you will see set of configuration, and there's also the properties configuration. If you click on it, you can give the required configuration. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add the new property. So I give the name as name, and its type should be expression, not fixed value, and its expression should be like this. So, choose the transport headers and the specific header UUID. So I make it okay and save it. Now it is added. So if you right click on it, and you will see commit file. So what will happen is, if you commit file, this will automatically go to the registry and upload it. So similar way, what I can do is I can copy the same sequence and then put it into the shared location, so then we can see the difference. I'm going to paste it here, and if you double click on it, you will load the same sequence. Looks there's issue, my media is not get copied. Let's check my original sequence. Yeah, I think it is also there's some issue with the media, so I will do it again. I'm going to give the same configuration quickly. Yeah, so I will save it. Okay. So then I will do the same changes to my new sequence. So this time I will do the new name. So I will just add the mediators inside of I'm not using this one. And I can change this one too. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to the publisher and see these reading circuit applied. So I'm going to the runtime configuration, and I check mediation sequence and trying to load percentages of custom position. So this is the one we select, one uploaded to the this API, and if you go to the common policies, you should be able to see the same one we added. It should be this one, but UUID case one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this one and save it. Then I'm going to publish it to the gateway. Okay, so now I will go to the developer portals, and I will create a new application. I'm going to select that's the policy, and I'll create a subscription. I will use the bronze one, and I will use new token and copy it, and I'm trying to access it. So I will paste my access token, and I will copy the UUID. And then put it here. So I have the running console, so it should be listed here. So I'm going to execute it. If there's issue, so let me republish this one again. saying the mediation sequence is already deployed. Let's check. Till now, there could be some issues. Let's check the implemented mediation sequence. Yes, everything is perfectly configured, but I'm not sure why this is not getting printed. But I will not going to debug this, and I will try to continue the demonstration to the presentation. Sorry about that. Uh, Next one is managing scopes. So shared scope is introduced as a new feature for 3.0. Requirement was earlier a scope is defined for an API and only the resource in the same API will be able to use them. But with the shared scope, there is no any limitation and same scope can be attached to any resource in any API. A user can have a requirement sometimes if there's a user group or business users, they would like to access a set of resources in multiple APIs. But with local scopes, uh, you have to create a different scope in those APIs and define the same role binding to those scopes again. Uh, but shared scopes, only one scope is required to define and it will reduce the deployment time as well as it will create same scope again and again. So early version of API Manager, only one scope is allowed to attach to a resource. But with new changes, you are allowed to apply multiple scopes for resource. Also, one other changes in scope validation is unlike the previous one, when scope validates, role validation is not checked again. Now we validate rows of scope only when it is issuing. So in scope validate, we are checking only whether the scope is exists in the token. So if we check how this is working, we can register shared scope by calling key manager scope endpoint. So as defined as missing in the slides, but this is available only in the default key manager. So at the moment, this shared scope is support only with default key managers. But if you configure any third-party key managers, and if you need to support this, you can customize key manager interface or key manager implementation of each key manager types, and then you can change the way scope registration according to third-party key manager. Also, local scopes may not be supporting third-party key managers as well because it is depend on the key manager and how it is implemented scope issue and scope validation. So let's go to a small demonstration how this local and shared scope is working. So I can then again look into the publisher, and then I can select an API. Then if you go to the left side menu, there's local scope. You can create a new scope. Let's say uh, local scope. You can give us sample description and and save it. And similarly, you will see another scope menu in the top. If you go there, so this is what actually shared scope mean. So what you can do is you can create new scope by clicking this button. So we can say uh, this as a scope name and say save. Uh, then if you go to the API again to the resource pages, to select one resource and go to the scope listing page, you will see all the scopes are listed here. And there's a two separation. So one for per API level or local scope section and the shared scope section. So you can, and also you can select multiple APIs and attach it to the resources. And if you save it, it will attach the resource. And if you go back to the shared Discord one, so then you can check its usage as well. So if you click on usage, it will show you what are the scopes or resources that use these scopes. Okay, so we will go to the presentation again and continue the presentation. And let's check the next topic, which is subscription upgrade. So subscription upgrade is another new feature we added to API Media 2.0 because it allows application developer to change the subscription policy even after you create a subscription. Primary goal is most of the organization required to have more capacity when their business is growing. Sometimes due to decrease of popularity of the APIs or application or any APIs are deprecated, there are chances to decrease the traffic for your application. So in such cases, it is required to reduce the subscription policy. Uh, Earlier there was no any proper mechanism to do this, and we had to remove the existing subscription and create the subscription with different policy again. But this could lead to a downtime. With this current feature, the required changes will be rolled out seamlessly. Same as subscription creation, it will have a workflow for subscription update as well. So management can verify and approve in case manual integration is required. Uh, so we will go to a small demonstration for this one as well. So if we go to the dev portal and the application, so I have a piece app created early and have a subscription. You can use the application edit, but you can go to the application and it is subscription. Then it will allow you to edit the subscription. So if you click edit, and so I was in the bronze tier, so I can increase into silver tiers and update. So similar way, it will, you can seamlessly update the existing subscription policy. If we go back to the presentation again. So next topic we are going to talk about is permission mapping in the admin portal. So as you already know, API UI portals are run on top of REST APIs, and its resources are protected by scopes. So there are some requirements to change default scopes to role mapping in order to control some UI. So one requirement is let's say a user group for roles who can manage workflow. So to do that, we need to have a role to scope mapping. The previous version we had to log into the management console and change the registry file which include this configuration. So also this file contain some additional configuration as well, and also all the scope to role mapping configuration. So the new UI is provided to admin portal to make this easy and do it via the UI. So it will in the UI it will list you all the scope in the API the REST API. So you can change or add new role mapping to these scopes. Let's check this one as well in the demo, and we will consider like example, let's say a workflow manager who want to perform only the manage workflow related tasks. So that's mean we have to limit only the workflow management related UI function to that user. So let's check how this is done. So if you go back to the admin portal, and in the left side there's a menu called role permission. So if you go there, you can see the existing role to scope mapping you have added, and you can add a new role to permission mapping here. So to do that, you should have a new role, but this UI will not allow you to create new roles. So instead, you have to go to the management console again, and create a new role and the user. So I looking as admin user, and I'm trying to add a new user called let's say workflow admin, and password. Then I finish it, and then I'm going to add new role. I'm going to call it workflow role, and I'm going to do next, and add the required users and finish it. Uh, So then I can come back to the permission view, and then I can add the required role. So my role was workflow role, and I can do next. And there is two options. You can add the role alias, so you can add custom permission. With role alias, what happens is it will add the permission of existing role to the new role. But what we trying to do is we are going to add new only the required permission to the role. So I'm going to select the second option. And to support workflow related permission, there are some set of permission to edit. So let's check what are those things. We have to so let's check the existing scopes. So this should be a publisher, and actually we should check on admin REST API scopes. So it should be a workflow request, and should be workflow manage workflows, and it's API workflow scope, and we should also have admin setting, and also we should have tenant info scopes too. So I'm gonna add these four scopes and try to save it. So I'm going to try this now. So I'm gonna log out from the login user and login as so I was able to log into the admin portal. So as you can see, I can list only the workflow related task here. So that's mean I have limited to only for these functions. So that's what you can do with permission tree or permission mapping UI. So we will go back to the presentation. Then let's talk about the simple workflow, simple approve workflow we have. Actually, with workflow, you can intercept use activities and apply manual use intervention. Example like allow finance to verify and approve when an application developer try to update their subscription policy. Uh, Early version, we have supported two workflow implementation like simple workflow and EIO DPS based workflow. With default workflow, what will happen is it will allow all the user tasks and let you continue your work. With EIO BPS workflow, it will allow you to integrate user approval tasks. So but the problem with EI and BPS based workflow is you have to integrate it with another WSO2 server, third party server to achieve a simple, even a simple use case, simple workflow. But yes, actually EI and BPS support more advanced workflow process, but sometimes it's not convenient to install another service just to approve, get support this approval user task. So simple approval workflow is a inbuilt workflow feature, and it will allow only to reject or approve a user task. So advantages is if there is no any additional without any additional products, you can simply configure workflow, and it is configuration are also very simple. And if we check the exist supported workflows, so these are the supported workflows type we have. So we support user creation, so which is when user try to sign up, we can enable workflow. So not everyone will be allowed to sign up. And application creation, yeah, simply we validate the application and approve the application. And also we support subscription creation, subscription update, application registration, and API state changes. So these are the things we have supported workflow we have right now. Uh, let's talk about how workflows work and what is its architecture. So here you can see a box in the left side, which is APM manager, and in the right side we have external workflow processor like EIO, BPS. So if you enable workflow for any of the user activities, as I mentioned in the previous slide, workflow execute in here get triggered. So what it basically do is it will perform the action partially, and it will create some metadata about the activity, and also it will generate a unique ID. We call it as reference ID. So it will make the current operation on hold and store these reference ID and metadata in the database. So if you have enabled external workflow manager, it will send this information to the external server to process and provide you an user interface. So if a user approve it, a reference ID and the operation you did is sent to the admin REST API as depicted in the diagram. To process it. So the REST API can get those information, and if it is approved, it can approve or disapprove this task. So similarly, if we have enabled inbuilt workflow, if you log into the admin portal, it will list down all the pending tasks by calling this admin REST API. So you can select any pending task and you can approve it. So REST API is then again called and send this information to REST API. So what will happen is based on the reference ID, it will affect the user activity and change its status to a complete from the on hold state. Uh, and it will complete if there are any remaining operation be on hold. So as you can see here, the workflow is much simpler here. So you can integrate with any external system to configure workflow, because a REST API is here and you can use it to list and approve all the user tasks. Uh, yeah, so to support advanced use cases like multi-level approval or user-based approval, so then we can use IPS. We can use EIO BPS. Or else you can extend existing workflow executors and implement logic. Maybe you can integrate it with the different or a third-party tools also. Even simple workflow is supported. Uh, yeah, even the simple workflow is supported. We are not yet removed EIO BPS related workflow configuration. So those configurations are already there, and in case if you need it, you can still use it and configure it. But from 3.0 onwards, the admin portal UI support only for the inbuilt workflow. So if EIO BPS is used, then you have to use the UI provided by EIO BPS. But thing is, EI and BPS is also provide you on UI, so because of that it is not a problem. So now, but now we recommend inbuilt simple workflow if you don't have any advanced use cases, and if you only need a to reject task. Also with the new UI revamping and REST APIs, we can create a user only to manage workflow related function. Because sometimes they are required to have set of users who can only manage the workflow related activity. So that's what actually I have demonstrated in the previous demonstration. Um, yeah, so if we go to a small demonstration how the workflow is working. So first, I have to enable the workflow. So for that, I have to log into the management console, and then I have to go to registry. So then I can go to the governance, PMGT application data, and go to the workflow extension. And if you edit it and if you expand it to make it clear, you will see I'm going to use subscription update workflow. So you can see there's three executors are defined. The first one is the simple one, which is allow every activities, and the second one is the simple approval one. The third one is the EI and VPs one. So I'm going to disable all and enable only the simple workflow. I do the changes and do the save. And now if I go to the dev portal, and if I list application, it's asked me to log out because it's a different user. I'm going to log in as admin again. I'm going to application and I'm going to check my application and subscription. Then again, I'm trying to update its subscription tier. So I'm going to update it from silver to gold silver to gold this time. And if I click update, you will see its status is changed to tier update pending, but it is not completed. So I can go to the admin portal again. I will use the same user. And check the subscription update, and here it will show you, so you can pull it. And if you go to the user portal again, subscription, and it is getting unblocked. Yeah, so let's check about our next topic. So this is about GraphQL compression analysis. So I will quickly go through this. So let's check why GraphQL compression analysis is required. So as you know, we have introduced GraphQL APIs too. With GraphQL APIs, you can request data you want, and the server will respond with request data. Because of this nature, it could be a secure threat to the server, since client can craft and complete queries to the request. So even a single query, it can lead a huge workload to the server. So because of that, it could be a DOS attack to the server. So as a solution, we should analyze the query complexity and block the request. But for that, we need some mechanism. So there are two mechanisms we have right now. So one is query depth and limitation, and other one is query complexity analysis. So if we check the GraphQL compression analysis and how it is work is, so let's take so what happens is, yeah, so if there is a we are adding a new handler to the all the GraphQL API, so which perform this rate limiting. So if a GraphQL request is received, first it will check query depth analyze first, and if it is passed, it check the complexity analyze um, consistently analyze, and then it will allow that request to the backend only the both analysis is passed. So otherwise, it will block the request and send you the throttle out error message. So how query depth limitation is work is uh, you can yeah, if we check the query depth limitation, how it work is you can define a limit for your API. So if a GraphQL query exceeds that defined limit, request get blocked. With GraphQL schema, we can have we can have a cyclic relationship, and because of there can be infinite loop in the query. So with GraphQL is because of this GraphQL schema changes. So as you can see in this example, there's infinite loop. So in this query, what we can do is we can calculate the depth of the query with its nested attribute, and we can identify the depth. So as you can see in here, its depth is infinite. So similar way, we can identify its depth. And how you're gonna define the depth in the depth and map this to a throttling policies. You can go to the admin portal and define a new subscription policy. So in a subscription policy, we can define a max depth as shown uh, uh, in the UI, in the screenshot. So once the subscription policy is created, you can attach it to the GraphQL APIs, and then this condition get evaluated at the gateway side. Uh, Also check what is query complexity limitation is. So even we define a query depth limitation, it is not enough to have enough to protect the GraphQL APIs, because we have identified that even request with lower depth queries, there can be some complex queries. So to address those scenarios, we have to introduce query complexity limitation. With that, API developers allow to define complexity of the each field. So the gateway identify the complexity of the query and block if its complexity is greater than the allowed limit. So by default, we allow one for all the fields. Uh, and as you can see in this screenshot, we can define the complexity value of each field by going to the runtime configuration of each GraphQL APIs. And if we check query complexity limitation and how it is calculated is, uh, in this query there are three fields as you can see, and also we are querying first five elements. So how complexity is calculated is, we take the summation of all the three fields, and we will multiply it by 5, which means the number of elements. So as a result, we get the 15, and it is the complexity value of this query. So, so similar to query depth limitation, query complexity limitation also can be defined in the subscription policy. So, as shown in the screen. So both query depth limitation and query complexity limitation values are evaluated to allow a GraphQL API. So this is evaluated at the gateway, and then it will send to the backend. Um, yeah, so if we move to the next topic quickly, so this is another new feature we introduced. So this with this, it will allow you to talk or to protected endpoint. So earlier we support only basic code and digest source only, but this O2 is another use case we should have support. So what they have to do is, we have people who need this feature, they have to implement custom mediation and support this. But now we are supporting this by default. But still we support only client condition and password grant times only. So if it required to have different grant types, then again we have to implement a custom mediation and get that support. If you go to the publisher and API of the API and its endpoint configuration, you will see that there is an option to select auth security, and if you select auth as this backend security, it will show you multiple configurations. So you can select the grant type and the token URL, and also based on the grant type you select, it will show you the some parameters like client ID, time secret, and also if it's a password, you have to enter username and password as well. Uh, and There are few points not here. So there's a inbuilt auth mediator we have implemented, and that is what integrates in the backend authentication. So but sometimes it needs some additional attributes to send along with the token request. So those attributes can also be defined in the UI. So UI support key value pair, so you can define those fields in the UI. So as example, we have defined scope here. So then it is going in the payload of the request, and this is how it is working in the gateway side. So if a request is comes to the gateway, and if it is backend is protected with auth2, first it will check in the cache and check whether there's already generated token. So if so, it will take that token and send in the bearer authorization header and send to the backend. Also, if that token is not valid, or if there's no token, what will happen is, it will generate a new token request and talk to the token endpoint to get a token. So then it continues the request to the backend with the authorization header, and the generated token will put it back to the cache for further usage. and thing is sometimes when there are multiple gateway nodes in the deployment, it is better to have a cache between the gateway. So what we support is we are supporting Redis-based shared caching for gateways. So that will prevent irregular syncing of access token. So you can define and configure Redis caching server like this, to this configuration. Uh, yeah, so that's about the that's the end of the presentation. So if you have any question, it's time to ask.
I have a question on the uploading of the mediation files via Integration Studio.
Okay.
I think, can you maybe be able to show us how you can be able to do that?
You mean how to upload it to the registry?
Yes, to the registry using the Integration Studio.
Yeah, actually, what will happen is if you create an, so it will show you the registry paths, right? So registry tree, it will list here, right? So if you create some mediation sequence here, let's say it's new sequence, so it will list here. But if you right click on in it, and then it will show you option like commit file. So if you click on this, it will automatically push to the registry, because we have already connected the registry via the admin service. So if you click on this and commit it, it will directly go to the registry. So that's how it's pushed the required file to the registry. You
Okay,
got
I
the
think
thing?
that's okay. But yeah. But my main point of question was the ease of Integration Studio.
Okay. Hello, you're there, you still there?
Yeah, I think I have one last question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently on the dev portal, sometimes when you send the request, the error responses are in XML.
Mm-hmm.
How do you convert them to JSON? Default errors.
Yeah, actually how gateway works is it will generate you the error response based on your accept header types. So if you send the accept header as JSON, it will automatically convert the response into JSON. So that's how it's work. But if the content accept header is not present, what will happen is in the gateway side we have set the default content type as XML. So if not, it will send you the content type as XML. So sometimes because we have set the XML as default, if that accept header is not supported or if some issues with there, so what will happen is it will always send you XML. So in order to mitigate that, and if you believe that always you should get a JSON content type, then you can change the existing fault sequences and make its content type as application JSON. So if you check the existing fault sequence, there are I think 2 or 3 sequences are there, and in there the content type is hard coded as application XML. So accept header is not present. Based on that header, it will compose you the response message.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Ian and Rukshan. This is Anupama. And luckily, recently we worked on this kind of issue. And what happened is the fault XML actually we have, I think, somewhere 11.
Mm-hmm.
We are at 2.0 version of WSO2 right now, and we'll be migrating soon to 3.0.
Okay.
So the thing, what happened is the content except content type was APM plus skim slash JSON. It was
Okay.
like that. Okay, and then what it was giving some fault error that resource not found in XML,
Okay.
or maybe the 404 resource not found. So then
Hmm.
what APM was trying to do is it was trying to convert XML into the skim format, and
Yeah.
there it was giving the parser error because it is unable to parse into that specific format. Then we have to add that format into access2.xml,
Yeah.
and then we kind
Okay.
of able to fix this issue.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so actually that is also expected because if that content type is not supported and if we have not defined it in the access to, so it doesn't know how to format that content type. So in such cases, it will show you, it will give you similar unpredictable errors. So I think with that, so
Yeah.
that will be the solution way to solve that.
Okay.
Yep.
So
So
this
yeah,
is,
go
yeah.
ahead.
So thank you, Anupama.
Yep.
Now, so the way you solve this issue is by updating the access to XML with the response, with the JSON response that you would want.
We were able to get the response in the XML form. Yeah, application skim format. We were able to got it. Yep. Yep.
Okay. Do you change
But
like the content type only, or uh, you place the whole JSON, then you like replace with values?
I would say in the documentation they have mentioned if you want to space all the fault into JSON, you have
Yeah.
to change the specific files, and then you will get all the fault errors into the JSON format.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
can give, I think
You
so.
can share the documentation. I actually
Yep,
Yeah, so
sure.
interested.
maybe at the end of the session, I will share the doc to the Slack channel, so then you can refer it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question, Ruksan,
Yes,
in regards. Sorry.
yes, Anupama, continue.
Yep. I have one question in regards to this O or 2.0 capability you have added for authenticating towards the backend, which is having this kind of authentication. So, if
Okay.
in standard format, the header goes like that: authorization bearer, and then the access token, which we will be generating via this
Yeah.
what you say mediation, or
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
are the capability. But let's say if the header name changed.
You mean in the backend authorization header is change?
Yes, and if it is like say some from instead of authorization bearer, it is some
Mm.
custom. Then
Okay.
in
Yeah.
that case, we will be, we'll be kind of will not be able to use it as a standard feature. Then we have to again go back to the what you say custom mediator plugins, right?
Yeah, actually, I checked how we have implemented this mediator. So when I check it, actually we have hard coded this authorization header. So, but it should be a configurable. So in future, probably we will have a way to we will be able to define a custom authorization header. But yeah, at the moment we have to do some changes because it is always sent as authorization bearer as a header to the backend. So
Yep.
Anupama, this is a very point. So probably we from our side we will have a solution for that. So and also I'm appreciate if you can create and raise this issue via GitHub to WSO2 so we can working on that one.
Sure, I can do that. Yep.
Okay, thanks Anupama. Okay, so I think we are already past time, so I think it is better to and wrap up the session. So the next community call will be on Thursday, November 20th, 2020. So you can register to next community call, and you can suggest any topic or things you would like to have in the next community call. So you can mention those things by going to our community page, and also you can join it our Slack channel and have discuss with the community team. You can discuss and you can do any suggestions, and also you can follow the Twitter, and also you can communicate with us via the WSO2 developer mailing list, and you can refer to API Manager YouTube channel and WSO2 document for more about the API Manager and products and its features. And also at the end of this session, we will upload the recorded version to the YouTube as well with the API Live channel. Um, then thanks you everyone. Thanks for joining the community call. So we will meet in the next community call. So thanks everyone. Bye.